So now we're actually going to move on to listing a new product. So we're going to start with our ASIN listings. So we can go back and we can go back into SureDone, and we're going to start by clicking on New Product. This will take us into the Add Product screen. Just to orient you, for those of you who might be unaware, you can use the subtitles on the left here to click through to different chunks of information that you might need. So that's how you can skip very quickly through sections of the data. And then, of course, here on the right, you'll see all the channels that we are capable of listing on. In this case, we're only going to be listing this to Amazon, so we're going to uncheck all of our eBay channels. And now we want to go back and just show you from the listing that we were working with, sort of what we're going to need to add from this to add on Amazon. So we can take a title here, and that's going to go right in this general title field. And then as far as a brand, we can write Hasbro. All right, we can add our price, which in the case of our listing, we're going to try and make this as competitive as possible. $8.99. We have 3 in stock. And then, of course, we want to add a condition. In this case, we're going to add new. Since we are not using the SKU generator in our demo account, we want to go back and make sure that we've added a SKU. There we go. And the next thing that we're going to want to add, of course, is a description. So from your product listing perspective, that's what would be provided here in this product description. Since we've added everything else that we needed to add, of course, we've added our title, our brand, and then our price, which will come up here. We can move on to our product description, which is down here. This goes, of course, let's just take this as an example. This is going to go right here in the description box. If you want to change the look and feel of your description, of course, you can turn on our rich text editor, and this will give you all of the options for editing this. Now we can go down to our Amazon section, and we are, of course, going to be listing this by ASIN. You can always find the ASIN that you're looking for under your product details. So we can add that here. And of course, now that we've added our ASIN, we don't need an Amazon subcategory. You'll also notice that my title and my price are being ghosted down from the general section. This just means that what we typed into the general section is being displayed here in the field. If you wanted to send an Amazon specific title, then of course you can override this simply by typing in the box. All right, so we're not going to need to add an Amazon subcategory here, so we can move on. All you would need is, for example, if you wanted to add some keywords, you can do that. All right, and then of course we also need to add a minimum manufacturer's age. So that's something that we need to find. So we're going to come down here to custom fields. Now the first thing that you'll see, of course, in the custom fields are these bullet points. If you remember from your Amazon listing, you find these bullet points here. So if you want to add bullet points, especially if you're creating something from scratch, then that's where those bullet points go. So you would fill those out right here. And of course, as you scroll down, you'll see there's our min stock and our max stock. And at the bottom, you'll find our minimum manufacturer's age. So here we can add 8. And now we've actually added everything that we would need to list this product on Amazon using our ASIN listing. But we also wanted to list this via a UPC. So let's go back and think about what would be required to change this to a UPC. So we want to go up to the general section, and here, of course, is where our UPC would go. So we can add this here. And when we scroll down to Amazon, you'll see that we're no longer going to have an ASIN. We've added our UPC, but that means that this Amazon subcategory is now going to be required. So we can select the top level category that we have, which is toys and games, and then we can search for our subcategory. All right, and here we can see this is for brain teasers. So now it is added the Amazon subcategory that we were looking for. And that's the only difference between using a UPC and listing with an ASIN. So now that we have everything that we need, we can go ahead and click on add, and that will send this to Amazon. If, for example, you think you've entirely screwed this up and want to start again, of course, you can always hit the reset button. Or if you just want to create this item in SureDone but not yet send it to Amazon, of course, you can always create a draft. But we're going to send this to Amazon right now. Keep in mind that this will take up to 30 minutes for queuing. As you can see, we've received a warning about our listing, so we want to know what that warning was. Here up in the navigation bar, you'll see our notifications tab. If we click this open, it will tell you what the warning is. In this case, it's just letting you know that the item was queued for processing, and you'll need to check back to make sure that was listed successfully. Okay, so now that we have listed these by ASIN and UPC, let's talk for a little bit about UPC exemptions. You, of course, want to, you're going to need to add all of the things that you would normally add, but you're going to need to add what your UPC exemption is. There are several different types of UPC exemption. For example, you can have a private label exemption, which means that you've created your own brand. There are specialized exemptions, non-consumer exemptions, and pre-configured exemptions. In order to tackle this in SureDone, of course, we're going to need to create a custom field. So we're going to go back to Advanced, and this time we're going to add a custom field. In this case, of course, we are going to be adding a required parameter, which is what Amazon calls it. And this time we're going to leave it as a varchar because we don't need, we're not going to do a dirty check on this data. We also, of course, do want to turn the displayed section off because we are not going to want to display this on eBay or Amazon. And then we're going to go ahead and hit Save Our Settings. And now, of course, we're going to have to go back to Amazon and map this. So go to Channels, open up our XML mapping, and this time we're going to stay with our universal product fields. And if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll see this registered parameter, and there we are just going to select the custom field that we just created. We're going to go ahead and save our settings. All right. Now, the only thing that we would need to change, let's go back to our All Products screen. Check out our Rubik's Cube. And then, of course, when we open our Rubik's Cube, the things that we would need to change so that this can be adapted to be a UPC exemption is, of course, we would clear the UPC. So we're not going to supply one. We're going to need to keep this Amazon subcategory. And then when we come down to custom fields, we are going to need to add the required parameter that indicates why we've been given a UPC exemption. So in this case, we are going to be using a private label. So you would want to add that required parameter right there in the box. And that is all that would need to be done. And so then you could, of course, update this item and it would then send that to Amazon as a UPC exempted product instead of a UPC listed product. That's actually all the difference that's required.